What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Rooted in Reptiles. In today's episode, we're going to be going over general care for blue tongues. We're going to cover both keeping in racks as well as people who want to keep in things like vision cages or boa masters or even tanks. So we're just going to jump right into it. General care is going to be pretty well the same between all species or subspecies or locales of blue tongues. One of the main differences is just going to be the humidity levels that you're trying to keep and maintain based on your species. A lot of this can be controlled by substrate choices or things of that nature. So in the way of substrate, I use cypress mulch for my northerns. A lot of people who keep species that need a higher humidity will mix in sphagnum moss or eco earth or something of that nature to something to hold some more of that moisture in. So for adult skinks, you're going to want to keep them, if you're keeping in a rack, you're going to want to keep adults in a V70 minimum. If you're keeping in a tank, you're going to want to keep them in something with a floor space of a 40 breeder minimum. Bigger definitely won't hurt them. So if you can go bigger, by all means go for it, but you definitely don't want to go smaller than those sizes. With my skinks, I keep approximately 2 to 3 inches of substrate, cypress mulch for them. They love to bury. I have one, however, that I have never seen buried. I have yet to see it bury itself or dig. It basically just turns up the substrate when it's shedding. But all my other ones love to bury themselves. They love to hide in it, and it works great for them. I just mist it down when they're going into the shed, and works great for them so far. Absolutely no issues. So general care, one thing is that you're going to be going into is feeding and nutrition. So you're always going to want to offer your animal clean water. Without a doubt, it's going to need clean water. I clean my water dishes every single morning. That way they have clean water all day long, and I'm making sure that I'm keeping up with that. Don't skip any days on that, guys. You want your animals to be as healthy as they possibly can, and offering them a good clean water source is definitely going to help with that. So getting into feeding, the general consensus right now is that for younger skinks, a form of wet cat food, a high quality wet cat food, something with a higher protein content, will be very good for them. I'm currently feeding all my younger animals wet cat food. They love it, they hammer it. They're growing great on it. They look super healthy, no ill effects. So some people are going to want to be feeding them more of a natural diet. People will feed them snails. People will feed them roaches or crickets or worms. I've seen people feeding mice. That's perfectly fine. I mean, if you want to feed them stuff like that as treats, that's great. But generally, a good diet for a younger animal is going to be a good quality wet cat food. I've seen animals raised on more of the natural diet, and they just don't quite have the conditioned look of an animal that's been raised on wet cat food. So as they get older, and you switch them over to dog food, which has a lower protein content, you're going to be wanting to offer them some form of dry kibble. Again, good quality. You want all your foods to be as good as you can possibly get them. Don't spare expense here. You definitely don't want to cut any corners. You want them to be as healthy and as happy as they possibly can be. So you're going to want to get a good quality dry kibble that you can offer them from time to time. You are also going to want to offer them good quality wet dog food, and you're going to want to mix in some fresh dark leafy greens chopped up, kind of like a salad, and mix it all together. That way they're getting both the salad and the dog food in a pretty even ratio. You don't need to offer your younger skinks salad, any form of salad, while they're younger. They're generally more agile than the adults, so in the wild they would be doing a little bit more hunting and scavenging. You're also going to want to be feeding your babies at every day of the week. As they get more into a juvenile stage, you're going to want to cut back your feedings to every other day. And then adults can be fed just 1 to 2 times a week. Nothing crazy, which makes them great pets, just like snakes really, because you are able to feed it the day before you go to vacation, clean it all out the morning that you leave, and then the day you come back you can go ahead and feed them again, and they'll be perfectly fine as adults on that. Another thing with general care is your heating. In rack systems we utilize heat tape or heat cord. Some people, depending on what rack you use, need heat cord or heat cable. And so we have our temps set at 98.5 is what I run currently. You don't want to generally go hotter than that, as you can run into a risk of fire. Heat tapes generally aren't rated to be running super high, and you definitely don't want to burn your whole house down trying to keep the heat tape super hot. They are growing perfectly fine and at a great rate for me at 98.5, which is the probe temp. You do have minor heat dissipation as the heat travels through the tub. Generally they bury themselves on top of right above the heat tape to stay warm. One thing that I like about my rack, I have an AP rack, is there's actually a recessed channel for the heat tape to run in, so it kind of creates a hot air pocket. That way there is a good amount of heat. I'm of the stance that if your animals are healthy and active, they're growing at a good rate, they have good condition, they're active, their eyes are bright, that you are probably doing something right, whether you're keeping in a rack or keeping in a tank or some form of other enclosure. I don't find anything wrong personally with either styles of keeping. Again, as long as your animal's health is your main priority. For me, my rack has worked great. I have no issues with my animals and keeping them. They're growing great, and I have no complaints. I know Ray keeps all of his animals in racks, and he's been doing so for 29 years. Austin keeps his animals in racks. A lot of guys keep their animals in racks, and it's proving to work. If 29 years of happy, healthy skinks that are still breeding is not proof enough that racks are working, then all I can say is there's people who are going to continue to keep in racks, and they're going to continue to prove that it works, and that that you can keep in racks. Again, in racks you're not going to be getting any UV. They haven't been proven to need UV. Every feeding we are offering or we're mixing in a good quality calcium with D3 supplement. It's proving to work just fine. No MBD issues. Again, they're growing great. They're strong. Their eyes are bright. They're active. And Ray's been doing this for 29 years again. Again, kind of proves that it is working. If you're keeping in a tank or in a boa master cage or something like that, you have the option to offer UV light. Some people believe that all reptiles need UV. That's perfectly fine. It's not going to kill them to put a UV light on. Some people will use heat UV mixed bulbs. So they're like a basking light. They're getting their UV out of that bulb. Some people prefer to use the tube UV bulbs. Again, it's up to you guys. However, the point or the fact that has been proven that these animals don't require a UV light to live great, healthy lives. You're also going to want to offer a multivitamin supplement once a week. So I offer my supplements as I'm feeding every other day. Some of my animals offer my supplement either on a Friday or a Saturday based on which day my feeding falls for that given week. As I keep my feedings an even every other day. I don't pick certain days of the week to feed. I just feed whatever is the opposite day of what I last fed, or whatever day is 2 days away from my last feeding. So you can offer these guys treats, like I said before. They do enjoy some fruits, insects. There is also another food option that has just recently come to the market. That's Reptiles Blue Buffet. Guys like Ray are really using a lot of it currently, and it seems to be working great for him. I've heard a lot of good things about the Blue Buffet. A lot of people are starting to switch over to use it. It's formulated specifically for the blue-tongued skinks, and so it does make a good dietary option for you. It can be a standard food item if you didn't want to feed dog or cat food. So that's just another option for you guys. Mixing in some good quality beef, ground beef or ground turkey or ground chicken is another good option to feed or mix in. It cannot hurt them. It's good for weight gain. Good if you wanted to put a little fat on your skink if you think it might be running a little bit lean. So that's another good option for you. Enclosures, you're going to want to keep those appropriate to the size of the animal. There are issues with spinal dipping if an animal is climbing a lot or wall walking a lot, which is where the spine actually gets a kink in it from it wanting to climb the wall or climb the glass of a tank. That's one benefit that the racks offer, is they aren't high enough for an animal to get itself vertical up the wall. I mean, sure, they can take a step or two, but it's certainly not anything as extreme as something that's say 12 or 16 or 18 inches high, 24 inches high, where they can get a good bit of their body up the wall. So that's just something to keep in mind. You don't want to get those spinal dips. Definitely not good for your animal. And so try and avoid that. Just bear that in mind when you are choosing an enclosure for your animals. One thing also is that these animals are not climbers. I have seen photos of them climbing on things, but in general, I have also seen where animals have fallen from things and dropped their tails, things like that. Blue-tongued skinks can drop their tails, which is common in some lizards. You definitely don't want it to drop its tail. They can regenerate it, but it's certainly not going to look as good, and it's not good for the animal for it to drop it. One thing that I should add on this topic of care is do your research before you buy your animal. I can't stress this enough. I see a lot of animals posted on Facebook where people buy them and they have no idea how to care for them. That's not a good way to go into getting an animal. You want to do your research, be extensive, be thorough, know exactly what you're getting into, what sort of commitment you're looking at, how much it's going to cost to keep that animal, and make sure that you're prepared for all of that. You don't want to sacrifice the health of an animal because you didn't go out and do your proper research before buying or picking that animal up. A lot of times animals that are just picked up and don't know how to be cared for, people generally don't even know what type of blue tongue they just bought. So a good video for you to check out, if you haven't done so already, would be our identification video. It'll list off and show you pictures of a lot of the common blue tongues that you'll find on the market. You'll see these animals at shows, you'll see these animals on the internet, and so this will kind of help guide you, and you can do a little bit more specific research versus general research on exactly what you're getting and what you want, because again, it's just better for the animal, it's better for you, it's better for everyone if you are able to provide the best possible care for an animal. I just want to thank everyone for watching this episode. I hope you've enjoyed. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments section. We will be getting back to answering you guys. Either we're going to be doing a question and answer video, or we will be doing, we can respond back personally just to that question directly to you. So please continue to spread the word. We want this series, our goal is 5,000 subscribers, which we believe is easily attainable. There are big things to come from this. We have plans to go and meet with some of the biggest breeders of blue-tongued skinks out there. Get with them. We'll show you what they're working with. We're going to do species, subspecies, and locale-specific episodes covering those animals and giving you a better, more detailed look on each of those animals as well. So, like I said, lots of exciting things to come up from us, and I'm just really glad that we have had this opportunity to do this series and work on it, and I hope that it continues to be a great success. And just want to say, you know, we're not here to tread on anyone's toes. We aren't an elitist group. We are a purist group. People are going to always have differing opinions. You see that in everything in life. No matter what we do or what we say, we're not going to be able to please everyone. So just bear that in mind. You know, we're not talking down on anyone. We're not trashing anyone with their care or whatever they're doing. We're here to educate. We're here to try and help people. And we're here to make this a good thing. We don't want this to turn into something that people are upset about or something that people don't like. If you guys have anything you want to see done in videos, please let us know. We'll try and get those videos done. And I'm sure there's people that are going to want to see the same things. So please, by all means, if you have any video suggestions, we'd love to hear them. We'll do our best to cover them. And I just want to thank everyone again for just kind of coming with us on this journey as we continue to push forward. Please hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys.